and welcome to the Nutrition by Samantha podcast. I'm your host, Samantha, nutritionist who is on a mission to cut through the nutrition confusion and help you become the healthiest version of you. In this podcast, you'll find expert advice on all things binge and emotional eating, sustainable fat loss, sports nutrition, and all things in between. I hope you leave each episode inspired and empowered to make smarter eating choices. Now, let's get into the episode. Alright, I'm setting the scene for you. It's Sunday night, 20th of August at 8:30pm. I am sitting in my bed, the covers over me, my hoodie on, the sheets are freshly washed. I just put them on the bed before I sat down. I have my doggo Ava right next to me snoring her little head off. If you hear her throughout the episode, that is why. And I'm sitting here with a lemon and ginger tea. The lights are off, I have a lamp on, and I am so relaxed and calm and ready to record this episode. I haven't recorded an episode from my bed before. I don't ever work from bed, but today I am, and it feels so good. If you hear Ava snoring here and there throughout the episode, it's just because she's just living her best life as a spoiled doggy she is on the bed right next to me. Alright, so let's get into today's episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to track your progress on your weight loss journey, and also why you shouldn't tell people your goals. And this may surprise you. But first, I want to give you my food recommendation for the week. Now, I know I didn't give one last week. You know what? I didn't have one. And I wasn't going to give you a pissy little food recommendation just for the sake of it. And I wanted to wait until I actually had a good recommendation to give you. And I do this week. Whoop whoop. It's from Aldi. And it is called, it's a brand Food Envy, and I posted it on my Instagram stories. And it's like this chocolate caramel mousse. And it was bloody amazing. I think it was 130 calories per serve. And that is my recommendation because it was so nice and such a good low calorie dessert to have when you are trying to stay within a calorie deficit, trying to lose weight, and you still want that chocolate fix. Alright, so I've spoken a little bit about how I am trying to lean up coming into summer. I want to just feel and look my absolute best, and I want to chat about my progress over the last week. So it's Sunday night, and I want to cast your minds back to the weekend prior, and also my mind back to the weekend prior as well. And we went out for dinner on Friday night. Now, Friday during the day I had a funeral, and then we had a dinner afterwards, and I went out and I got a pizza off the menu. Now, when I order a pizza, I'm so embarrassing, but I don't eat the crust because it doesn't have any like saucy, it's just, like parts to it. It's too dry and I don't want to eat it. And even if I have toast at home, I give the crust to my dog. But anyway, I had pizza and I had this chili passion fruit margarita. Anyway, now the next day I wanted to weigh myself purely to let you know what my weight was the next day, as proof that you should not weigh yourself after you eat a meal. Okay, so it's the morning after you go out for dinner, that's what I mean. So the Wednesday before I weighed myself, and then the Sunday after I went out for dinner I weighed myself again, and I was 700 grams heavier the morning after I went out for dinner. 700 grams heavier, okay? So when I first stepped on the scales, I want to talk about how I felt. I was just like, holy shit, like 700 grams heavier. And in my mind, I know that's not body fat I've put on, because I say this 100 times to my clients, and I just took my own advice, obviously. To gain 700 grams of fat is quite a lot of food I would have had to eat, and I definitely wouldn't have done it in one pizza. And I knew the next morning when I weighed myself, I hadn't gone to the toilet yet. So I still had a whole entire pizza sitting in my belly, and that was also, I suppose, in me to step on the scales and also increase my weight with that as well. So that is something for you to keep in mind as well. If you're going out for dinner and you do weigh yourself next day, have a think, have you actually gone to the toilet, done a bowel movement, or is those margaritas or tacos or Asian food or whatever you're going out for dinner and had, is that still sitting in your belly? Because that weighs an amount. And, you know, after going to the toilet, depending how top-notch your bowel movements are, you could drop 400 grams straight down the toilet and you'll be 400 grams lighter. Anyway, I left it as at that because I knew, you know, there were so many different things that would have impacted my weight, as I know I had probably more carbohydrates in that meal than I usually do. It's probably a lot more salty. I also had a margarita, which has salt on the rim. So many different things played a factor in that day. And the next day, of course, it's going to impact the scales. Now, I usually weigh myself on a Wednesday, and then the Wednesday after, that 700 grams was back off, but I was still the same weight as the Wednesday prior. And when I had weighed myself, I was like, oh, that's a bit disappointing. And I was like, okay, let's honestly think back to how the week went. I had a funeral on Friday, and I wasn't really in control of my nutrition. You know, when you go to a funeral, like the funerals I go to are like Catholic ones, and they go to church, and then you go to the burial, and then you go to the wake. So it's a big day. And I brought snacks with me. You would be so proud of me, right? So I literally brought a lunchbox with me to the funeral. Obviously, I didn't take it into the church or anything. I kept it in the car. But I bought apples, and I bought the Happy Snack Company chickpea packs, right? And I left them in the car. And then my husband brought yogurts and put them in an esky as well. So we had some other snacks. But then, as we're all driving to the funeral, so we're driving there, and in my family group chat, my sister's like, man, I can't wait to get KFC between the ceremony and the wake or the burial or whatever it was. And I read that out loud to my husband. My husband's like, oh my God, now I want KFC. That's it. I'm getting KFC after the funeral. I can't stop thinking about it. Anyway, we were driving to KFC afterwards, and he's like, what are you getting? And I'm like, I'm not getting anything. I brought my snacks so I don't end up getting any junk food or I don't end up starving. Hang on, Ava's licking. Okay, she stopped. Anyway, and as we're about to pull up to the drive-thru, Jack's like, can you look on the KFC website, see what the lowest calorie burger is? I'm like, yeah, right, I did that. Apparently it's a zinger. I don't know. I don't think I looked at that right. Anyway, we order the zinger burger, and then he turns to me and he's like, what do you want? And I'm like, nah, man, I brought my snacks. I'm good. And I was so proud of myself. I didn't have a bite of the burger, didn't eat it, and I just stuck with my snacks I had got. Because I knew also we were obviously going out for dinner that night. Anyway, went to the wake. Man, this wake, I swear, the best food I've ever had at a wake. Like, honestly, usually it's like deep fried type of food and you know, whatever. Anyway, this wake food, bloody 10 out of 10. We had little fish and chip buckets. There was dumplings, sandwiches. It was just great. Anyway, I had a little fish and chip bucket once we got there. And then obviously we went out for dinner, and then I got a pizza as well. So I had all of that sitting in my belly, and of course the scale number went up. Anyway, when I weighed myself on the Wednesday, I've gone on like a side tangent. I hope you've all kept up. But when I weighed myself the Wednesday after all that, and I was the same weight, I was disappointed, but I did like look back at the week, and I was like, yeah, okay, there were a few extra things I probably didn't need to have. I probably could have upped my cardio a little bit more, all that sort of thing. I was thinking about why I didn't make progress. Literally like 2 days later also I got my period. I'm like, oh, that's probably also something to do with why my weight change stayed the same. I do think maybe I might have been holding on to a little bit of water weight and fluid retention from getting my period as well. So all of that could have played a factor into why I didn't see change too. But I thought maybe I'll just do my measurements and see. And I did my measurements and I was like, oh my God, my measurements have come right down, even though my weight stayed exactly the same. So the biggest part of my legs, so what I do is I just stand with my legs together, and then I just pick the widest part around my legs, and there's a beauty spot right there, so I just use that as my guide, and so I know I get it right. And that was down 3 centimeters. I was like, holy mac and cheese balls. Like, I'm so surprised by that. And then I did my waist, and I think that was down 1.5 centimeters too. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy considering my weight hasn't changed. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you should do your weight and your measurements, because your weight might not change, but your measurements may. And that just shows proof that that can happen. So I wasn't so disappointed about the scale number, but I was happy about the measurements coming down. Now, if I just went off my weight, I would have no idea that I'm actually losing centimeters. No idea. So if this is you and you're just jumping on the scales, doing the best you can, and you make progress one week and then you don't, you're getting pissed off, do your measurements, because they are so important to be able to track progress. Now, I also want to tell you about what I've been doing with the exercise side of things. So with exercise, I do weight training 4 times a week, and I've also now increased my cardio. So now I do 2 abs and cardio sessions a week, which I am actually really enjoying because I don't really train abs that much. And so I do that, and then I also I walk Ava every day, definitely at least 6 days a week. I'd walk Ava, and that's for about half an hour. And I might even go for a run after work, maybe 2 or 3 times a week on top of all that as well. So I have definitely ramped up my activity level. And the reason why I am ramping up my activity level is because I'm a small person, I'm short, and I don't have much to lose at all. And to be able to lean up a little bit, I do need to increase my cardio, because then I'll just have to eat like the bare minimum and I will starve and be a grumpy gal. So I do have to up my activity level to be able to see some change. So that's what I'm doing activity wise. So today when I went to the gym, I did abs and cardio. And when I got to the gym, usually there's no classes on a Sunday, but there was one this morning. I don't know why. I don't know, it must have been some event or something. I have no idea. Anyway, and I get there, I'm like, far out. Because when they do the cardio, then they have the classes. They take up like all the cardio equipment. There's only a few left. Because usually when I do my cardio, I go the treadmill, rower, and then bike. Anyway, and the rower was out. So I did the treadmill and bike. And then I did my own little circuit of like medicine ball slams and medicine ball throwovers where you throw them over your shoulder. And then I'm like, oh, what's another cardio workout I can do? And my stupid ass picks burpees. Like, why? Like, who am I trying to impress? Why would I do burpees? Anyway, I stuck with it and I did it. So I did like a few rounds of that to really get the heart rate up as well. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this, but that is what my cardio sessions usually look like. Apart from abs, I do a circuit with abs as well. I also wanted to tell you that I downloaded a new app called Alpha Progression. So if you are into weight training, I recommend downloading it. I think it's a really good free app you can use to track your progress in the gym. And I actually feel like I'm going to make more progress and lift heavier when I have my app to look back on, because I've physically written down what I did last week and I know I need to work on that if I want to improve each week. So with that app, I can put in all my exercises I do, what my weight was. It then has a timer to count down between your sets as well, so you know you are resting adequately and not just taking the piss and also taking too long and scrolling on your phone. So that's also good too. Alright, so before we go into today's episode, I did quickly want to talk about your progress. So I want you to track your weight, track your measurements, and then track with photos as well. And with photos, I say that because if you're one that has like a fair bit of weight to lose and you're really taking your health seriously and wanting to see change, when you get like halfway or even towards the end of your journey, you are going to want a photo to look back on and compare yourself to. Every time I talk to a client, I'm always like, I recommend you take photos so when you get to the end of the program, you can look back on how far you've come instead of just a tangible sort of number. And that way you can really visually see the changes you've made. And they're like, oh, everyone's always like, oh, I don't really want to take photos of myself. I'm like, you don't need to share it with me, just take it for you. Sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. And I had a client during the week and she's lost a fair bit of weight, and she said to me, she goes, I wish I took photos so I actually had something to see how far I've come. And I said to her, I'm like, look, I'm not going to say I told you so, but I told you so. And she just laughed. And I'm like, you can still take it now. Like, you still have progress you want to make. So if you want to do it now, do it. But if you don't have any photos of yourself and you hate taking photos, just take this one photo, set up a self timer, stand in front of it, stand nice and still, straight on, and just take a photo. and that way you've got something. You don't ever have to look at it. Put it in some sort of private folder on your phone, which you can easily do. Like you can get like folders on your phone that you need a password to open, so you don't ever have to see it until you're at the end. I recommend doing that, because you've got to take, if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want to be just like fluffing around. You need photos, you need measurements, and you need all three things to be able to track your progress and get a really serious picture as to how things are going for you. Alright, so getting into today's episode, honestly, it won't take me too long to chat about it, but it is about who you tell when you are trying to change your lifestyle. So most of the time I'm telling people, don't tell anyone your goals, don't blast it all over social media, stop telling your friends what you're trying to do unless you know they will be supportive. Because it is so often I hear of people telling people that are closest to them what they're trying to achieve, whether it's health goals, losing weight, whatnot. And it's those people that end up sabotaging my clients. And I'm like, stop telling people, because as soon as you tell someone, especially if someone that is not doing very well in their health journey or aren't very healthy people, and you tell them you're trying to improve your health, improve your fitness and all of that, they're going to be like, oh, why are you doing that? Just have this pastry. It's just one pastry. And they will talk you into making bad decisions. Hey, this is a super quick interruption to tell you about my new program, the NBS Method. After working one-on-one with over 400 people on their weight loss journey, I have developed my own unique formula and method to help clients get from restriction, binge and emotional eating, self-sabotaging behavior, and having no idea what actually works for weight loss, to feeling in control, confident, knowing how to deal with their triggers, becoming a more mindful eater, knowing how to eat for fat loss, and finally seeing the weight loss results that they're after. This 5-month nutrition coaching program will show you how to lose weight in a sustainable way, stop overeating, reduce binge and emotional eating, and finally feeling in control over your eating rather than food having control over you. Within the first few weeks, you'll start to feel lighter, healthier, more confident, and energized. You'll be in control over how much you're eating, you'll understand your triggers for emotional and binge eating, and you know you've learned the necessary steps to maintain your new healthy lifestyle. I'm so confident that you will gain so much value out of this program, and by the end of the 5 months, you will know exactly what you need to do moving forward to continue to see the results you're after or maintain your weight loss results. If this is exactly what you need right now, head to the link in the show notes to book your no obligation phone call to see if it's the right fit for you. Okay, let's get back into the episode. So I want to use one of my clients as an example. A couple of weeks ago, she's like to me, I am really nervous about going home next week. So her going home is going to New Zealand. And I'm like, what are you so nervous about going home for? She goes, my family aren't the healthiest family, and I worry they will push me to eat too much food or to overeat. And I said to her, I'm like, do they know you're trying to improve your health and your fitness and things like that? And she's like, no, I haven't told them. And I'm like, good, don't tell them that you are trying to. What I want you to do is just make smarter choices. Just say, oh, I'm just really full at the moment when you stop eating, and just really try to avoid telling them that you're trying to eat better and look after yourself, and try to use other excuses as to why you don't want to drink as much or why you don't want to eat as much. Because as soon as you tell someone that is not doing as well as you that you are trying to lose weight, improve your health, whatever it is, they are going to try and bring you down back to your level. Okay? Most people don't want to see you doing better than they are doing. Does that make sense? Most people don't want to see you doing better than what they're doing. So if they see that, they will try to bring you back down to their level. And if you don't believe me, have a think about all the people you may have told about trying to improve your health or whatever it is, and what have you found, like the types of people that have brought you down or tried to tell you, just eat this little bit, just have one drink, just do this, just do that, it's not that much, blah, 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 you don't need to lose weight, you don't need to do this. And then think about the people that encourage you and support you and push you to do better. They're probably ones that are either at the same level as you or ones that are a little bit further on their health journey than what you are as well. So if you have a goal and you're working hard for it, try not to tell people about it. Be really selective about the people that you're telling. You know, when I have some clients that tell me that they're worried about going home to their families, I'm like, okay, well then they're not the people you should be telling about it. Then I have other clients that are like, oh, I'm going on holidays with my friends, I'm worried about how much I'm eating, and I talk about, okay, what are your friends like? They're like, oh, they're quite healthy, they try to eat well and whatnot. I'm like, that's fine then, you'll be okay. You can tell them that you're also trying to eat well, and they will be supportive and they will be encouraging of you to try and do better and try to eat better and whatnot. So that's not so much of an issue. You've got to think about the people that you're with and the type of people that you are, telling. So with me trying to lean up a little bit, I have told one person, which is my husband, that I am trying to do it. Plus, the amount of people that listen to this podcast are also the other people that I've told, but I don't hear back from you. So I don't get any backlash or anything. All I do is talk in a microphone, and I hope that someone tunes in and listens. And yeah, if I started telling people, I could just imagine the comments I would get back. Why are you trying to do that? You have no weight to lose. Blah, 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 blah. Just have one drink. Just eat this. Don't worry about going for cardio. Blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to hear it. I want to achieve my goals in silence, and I don't want to hear anyone talking back to me and telling me what to do and do it my way, and I'm going to succeed at it. And then when I'm fit AF for summer, I will know I achieved my goal without having anyone's chit chat back to me. And honestly, you will learn who are the type of people that you will tell about your health goals, right? So I remember I have this friend, and every time I will tell her anything about health and fitness, she would always try to bring me down a notch. So if I was like, yeah, I am loving running at the moment, she would be like, oh, fuck that, I hate running. Like, running is just, I can't do running. And just always just bring me down. Or she doesn't do it intentionally. She's just thinking about her own perspective of it. But when you're telling someone there's something you're trying to achieve and they're like, oh, fuck that, I can't do that, or that's too hard, or blah, 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 you do kind of feel a little bit defeated. But at the same time, I feel like I'm going to say emotionally intelligent. Is that just talking myself up too much? I don't know. But I'm intelligent enough to know that when people try to talk back with talking down to me, I know it's because of their own insecurities or things that they don't want to do or can't do themselves. I'm very aware of that, and because of that, I don't really care when people do it. But I just know to never talk to this person again about anything to do with my health and fitness goals, because I know of what she will say back. Whereas I have others that will be like, yeah, you go, boo, you're awesome. And I know I can tell them about what I am trying to achieve. Anyway, that is the main story I wanted to talk about today, is really just be cautious of who you tell things to, because they will most likely sabotage you if they don't want to see you doing better than what they're doing or changing in any way. A lot of times people feel like you're attacking them when you try to do something for yourself. I know that sounds flipping ridiculous, but it's true. And I hear about it all the time, and I just want to warn you all as well. Anyway, that is it for my episode. I hope you have a fabulous day. It is now 9:10, and I know you're thinking, Sam, this is a 23-minute episode, and you said you started at 8:30, and now it's 9:10. It's because I pause it during my podcast to get my breath back and get my thoughts back, and then I've got to pause it when Ava decides to lick the shit out of her paw. And yeah, anyway, that's it. I hope you have a great day. If you have any questions about health, nutrition, you need a coach and you need someone that will cheer you on and be there to support you, I'm your gal. Give me a message on Instagram, nutrition_by Samantha. Alright, have a fabulous day. Have a great week, guys. And I'll talk to you next week. Ciao.